Cursive, also known as longhand, script, joined-up writing, joint writing, running writing, or handwriting is any style of penmanship in which the symbols of the language are written in a conjoined and or flowing manner, generally for the purpose of making writing faster. However, not all cursive copybooks join all letters. Formal cursive is generally joined, but casual cursive is a combination of joins and pen lifts. In the Persian, Arabic, Latin, and Cyrillic alphabets, many or all letters in a word are connected, sometimes making a word one single complex stroke. While the terms cursive or script are popular in the United States for describing this style of writing, the Latin script, this term is rarely used elsewhere. Joined-up writing is more popular in the United Kingdom, Ireland and India. The term handwriting is common in the United States, United Kingdom, Ireland, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. In Australia, the term running writing is also popularly applied. In reference, cursive is often said to have been written, as opposed to having been printed in traditional block format. Cursive is distinct from block letters, in which the letters of a word are unconnected and in Roman Gothic letter form rather than joined-up script. This style may also be called print script, print writing, block writing. A distinction is also made between looped cursive penmanship, in which some ascenders and descenders of cursive have loops which provide for joins, and cursive italic penmanship, which is derived from chancery cursive, and which uses non-loop joins or no joins. There are no joins from G, J, Q or Y, and a few other joins are discouraged. Italic penmanship became popular in the 15th century Italian Renaissance. The term italic as it relates to handwriting is not to be confused with typed letters that slant forward. Many, but not all, letters in the handwriting of the Renaissance were joined, as most are today in cursive italic. In Hebrew cursive and Roman cursive, the letters are not connected. In the research domain of handwriting recognition, this writing style is called connected cursive, to indicate the difference between the phenomenon of italic and sloppy appearance of individual letters and the phenomenon of connecting strokes between letters, that is, a letter-to-letter transition without a pen lift. The origin of the cursive method is associated with practical advantages of writing speed and infrequent pen lifting to accommodate the limitations of the quill. Quills are fragile, easily broken, and will spatter unless used properly. Steel dip pens followed quills. They were sturdier, but still had some limitations. The individuality of the provenance of a document was a factor also, as opposed to machine font. Etymology: the term cursive derives from the 18th century Italian corsivo from medieval Latin cursivus, which means literally running. This term in turn derives from Latin currere. Cursive Arabic. In the Arabic script, most letters of any given word are joined to one another in a continuous flowing line. This flowing script inspired the cursive of medieval Latin, which in turn developed into the longhand script of English. Cursive Bengali. In Bengali cursive script, the letters are more likely to be more curvy in appearance than in standard Bengali handwriting. Also, the horizontal supporting bar on each letter runs continuously through the entire word, unlike in standard handwriting. This cursive handwriting, often used by literature experts, differs in appearance from the standard Bengali alphabet as it is freehand writing similar to Japanese calligraphy, where sometimes the alphabets are complex and appears different from the standard handwriting. Roman cursive. Roman cursive is a form of handwriting used in ancient Roman to some extent into the Middle Ages. It is customarily divided into Old Cursive and New Cursive. Old Roman cursive, also called majuscule cursive and capitalis cursive, was the everyday form of handwriting used for writing letters, by merchants writing business accounts, by schoolchildren learning the Latin alphabet, and even by emperors issuing commands. New Roman cursive, also called minuscule cursive or later Roman cursive, developed from Old Roman cursive. It was used from approximately the 3rd century to the 7th century, and uses letter forms that are more recognizable to modern eyes. A, B, D, and E have taken a more familiar shape, and the other letters are proportionate to each other rather than varying wildly in size and placement on a line. Cursive Greek. The Greek alphabet has had several cursive forms in the course of its development. In antiquity, a cursive form of handwriting was used in writing on papyrus. It employed slanted and partly connected letter forms as well as many ligatures. Some features of this handwriting were later adopted into Greek minuscule, the dominant form of handwriting in the medieval and early modern era. In the 19th and 20th centuries, an entirely new form of Cursive Greek, more similar to contemporary Western European cursive scripts, was developed. English cursive. Cursive writing was used in English before the Norman conquest. Anglo-Saxon charters typically include a boundary clause written in Old English in a cursive script. A cursive handwriting style secretary hand was widely used for both personal correspondence and official documents in England from early in the 16th century. Cursive handwriting developed into something approximating its current form from the 17th century, but its use was neither uniform, nor standardized either in England itself or elsewhere in the British Empire. In the English colonies of the early 17th century, most of the letters are clearly separated in the handwriting of William Bradford, though a few were joined as in a cursive hand. In England itself, Edward Coker had begun to introduce a version of the French Rhone style, which was then further developed and popularised throughout the British Empire in the 17th and 18th centuries as roundhand by John Ayres and William Banson. Back in the American colonies, on the eve of their independence from the Kingdom of Great Britain, it is notable that Thomas Jefferson joined most, but not all of the letters when drafting the United States Declaration of Independence. However, a few days later, Timothy Matlack professionally rewrote the presentation copy of the Declaration in a fully joined, cursive hand. 87 years later, in the middle of the 19th century, Abraham Lincoln drafted the Gettysburg Address in a cursive hand that would not look out of place today. Note that not all such cursive, then or now, joined all of the letters within a word. In both the British Empire and the United States in the 18th and 19th centuries, before the typewriter, professionals used cursive for their correspondence. This was called a fair hand, meaning it looked good, and firms trained their clerks to write in exactly the same script. In the early days of the post office, letters were written in cursive and to fit more text on a single sheet, the text was continued in lines crossing at 90 degrees from the original text. Block letters were not suitable for this. Although women's handwriting had noticeably different particulars from men's, the general forms were not prone to rapid change. In the mid-19th century, most children were taught the contemporary cursive. In the United States, this usually occurred in second or third grade. Few simplifications appeared as the middle of the 20th century approached. After the 1960s, a movement originally begun by Paul Standard in the 1930s to replace looped cursive with cursive italic penmanship resurfaced. It was motivated by the claim that cursive instruction was more difficult than it needed to be, that conventional cursive was unnecessary, and it was easier to write in cursive italic. Because of this, a number of various new forms of cursive italic appeared, including Getty Dubé, and Buchowski fluent handwriting. With the advent of typewriters and computers, cursive as a way of formalizing correspondence has fallen out of favor. Most tasks which would have once required a fair hand are now done using word processing and a printer. However, Western etiquette advocates the use of longhand in personal notes to provide a sense that a real person is involved in the correspondence. The teaching of cursive has been de-emphasized in some public schools, but is still used for situations such as timed tests with large writing portions, where it is considered faster by some. Also, being able to write in a fair hand is still looked upon as a sign of literacy in many countries. In some countries, the quality of one's cursive is used to determine the appointment of public office. English cursive in the U.S. On the 2006 SAT, a United States post-secondary education entrance exam, only 15% of the students wrote their essay answers in cursive. In a 2007 survey of 200 teachers of first through third grades in all 50 American states, 90% of respondents said their schools required the teaching of cursive. A 2008 nationwide survey found elementary school teachers lacking formal training in teaching handwriting to students. Only 12% of teachers reported having taken a course in how to teach it. In 2012, the American states of Indiana and Hawaii announced that their schools will no longer be required to teach cursive, and instead will be required to teach keyboard proficiency. As of 2011, the same was true of Illinois. Since the nationwide proposal of the Common Core State Standards in 2009, which do not include instruction in cursive, the standards have been adopted by 44 states as of July 2011, all of which have debated whether to augment them with cursive. California, Georgia, and Massachusetts have added a cursive requirement to the national standards. In 2014, Tennessee mandated the reintroduction of cursive in the curriculum for 2nd through 4th grades beginning in the 2015 to 2016 school year. Cursive Russian. The Russian cursive Cyrillic alphabet is used when handwriting the modern Russian language. While several letters resemble Latin counterparts, many of them represent different sounds. Most handwritten Russian, especially personal letters and schoolwork, uses the Cursive Russian alphabet. Most children in Russian schools are taught in the 1st grade how to write using this Russian script. Cursive Chinese. Cursive forms of Chinese characters are used in calligraphy. Running script is the semi-cursive form and grass script is the cursive. The running aspect of this script has more to do with the formation and connectedness of strokes within an individual character than with connections between characters as in Western connected cursive. The latter are rare in Hanzi and the derived Japanese kanji characters, which are usually well separated by the writer. See also, examples. Notes. External links, lessons in calligraphy and penmanship, including scans of classic 19th century and early 20th century manuals and examples, The Golden Age of American Penmanship, including scans of the January 1932 issue of Austin Norman Palmer's American Penman, normal and bold Victorian modern cursive electronic fonts for downloading, Mourning the Death of Handwriting, a Time magazine article on the demise of cursive handwriting, Op Art, The Right Stuff, a New York Times article on the advantages of italic hand over both full cursive and block printing, the Society for Italic Handwriting, supporters of teaching a simplified cursive. Hand, cursive fonts, online resource for cursive fonts in TTF format. Has technology killed cursive handwriting? A Euromashable, June 11, 2013.